All right, so let's get our document set up really quickly for Project 5.2. The quickest and easiest way to do that is you see this bar of different presets right up here at the top of your new document screen. So all I've done is go to New File right up here in the top left, and then I'm going to go to this Web section, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 from the left. Web right here. We want to use Web Large for Project 5.2. Web Large, it's 1920 by 1080, your typical screen size, right? This is one that you can leave in pixels because we're working more digitally focused, specifically on this one. And it's just going to be a little bit easier to use the Web Large. It displays nicely. There's lots of good reasons to use Web and then Web Large. So now that we're working officially with color, you have to make sure that your color mode right down here is set to the correct version. So remember, RGB is for digital, for anything that goes on a screen, and CMYK is for anything printed, anything that you're going to hold. So because we're working digitally, I'm going to go RGB color. I'm going to name this file real quickly, name it correctly with my first initial, my last name, period 7, and then this is 5.2. You don't have to copy this part. This is more for me. Blend demo. So I'm going to click create. The important part about naming your document as soon as you get started. So let's go in here, move this guy down. Oops. Go here, make sure we're in the right workspace. Cool. We're in Essentials Classic, which is what we're looking for. Don't need that guy. Let's begin. So this instance, if you remember to the snip and sketch setup, we're just going to borrow a color wheel real quick. We'll go with this one. So I'm going to hit print screen on my keyboard and draw a little box out for that guy. And then I'm going to go back into my Illustrator document and press Control V to just paste that in there. So we want to leave this guy up in the corner. You could even put it in the off the artboard, off of this edit section right here. This is our artboard if you want to, but we'll just leave it there for now. I need to get my keyboard tool available, so give me just 1 second. Sorry, everybody. Yes, the keystroke visualizer. There we go. Awesome. So let me just do a little bit of configuring there. Okay, cool. So, all right. It's being a little bit funky. You can see in the bottom right here that it's displaying my keystrokes as we go. You don't need to hold the A. We'll figure that out later. So for now, I'm going to press V on my keyboard. V is the last thing I got. And then I've got my guy moving around. And remember, anytime that you increase or decrease the size of something in Adobe Illustrator, anytime you scale it, you want to hold Shift. You can see down there in the keystroke section, the little black guy right here, that I'm holding Shift anytime I'm scaling something up or down. So let us make a color wheel, just like we did in class. So what you want to do is go right here to the line segment tool. It's right to the next of the text tool, or the type tool, excuse me. It's the line segment tool right here. If you click and hold on that guy with your mouse, I've let go of the mouse button, just click and hold so you get this menu. Right down here, there's an option called the polar grid tool. That's going to be our best friend while we're creating these color wheels. So we're going to take our polar grid tool, and it's going to get this little crosshair like this. Don't click and drag, just click once. So when you click once, you'll get this polar grid tool options window. That's what we're looking for. You can leave the default height and width as it is, but the thing that we want to change is we want to change the concentric dividers to 1, and we want to change the radial dividers to 12. Actually, we'll make that 2, just to be safe. And then you want to check this box right down here that says Fill Grid. So leave the default size. Concentric dividers, dividers that go around the grid, we're going to go 2. And then radial dividers, dividers that come out from the center point in the radiuses, we're going to go 12. And that's going to get the start of our polar grid tool configured for the color wheel. So you click OK. It's going to automatically place our polar grid here, and I'm going to press V on my keyboard to get my selection tool, and then hold Shift So I can increase the size of this polar grid to something a little bit more workable. So you can see right now that it's just a white circle. It appears as a white circle, but inside of it, it has these cool spider web dividers. So let's make this a little bit easier to see. We'll go, and we'll do that. And then we'll make the stroke black. So you can see the different lines there. We're gonna make that stroke a little bit thicker as well. We'll go up to, let's do 5. Okay, so now we can see that our polar grid all has our 12 radial dividers coming out from the center and our 2 concentric dividers, 1, 2, and then the outside edge. This is gonna be the basis, the kind of the skeleton for our color wheel. So in order to get it configured, we're gonna have to use the Pathfinder tool. There's 2 ways you can access your Pathfinder tool. First things first, though, you need to have something selected. So right now on my artboard, you can't see any bounding boxes. That means I don't have anything selected as it stands right now. Bounding box, remember, is this outer little blue diagram here showing the anchor points on the outer edges, the bounds of our shape, whatever we're working with. So now that I have this bounding box around the thing that I'm editing, I can start to work a little bit more focused on the thing we're trying to do. So there's 2 ways to access the Pathfinder tool, which is what you're going to be using to divide the circle up so it looks like, so we can color it this way. First is to right click, or sorry, not right click, left click on these 3 dots, just regular click on these 3 dots. And then here's our friend divide right here, that first Pathfinder option, divide. If that's not popping up on your screen, remember any tool in the Adobe products is in the window section in alphabetical order. So if I click on the word window and then I scroll down a little bit, we want Pathfinder right here. So we'll open up this little Pathfinder right here. Divide is still this first option. So your next step, you've got your bounding box around your polar grid that you configured with the polar grid tool. Next step is to divide in Pathfinder, and it looks like nothing happens, but that's because anytime we use the Pathfinder, you have to right click, you get this option menu right here, and go to ungroup. So now if we look, we have all these different little sections that we can edit. And there's two parts we'll talk about in just a second, but there's one more step before we start coloring the 2 color wheels. This polar grid tool will get you 2 out of the 3 necessary color wheels for Project 5.2. It'll get you this one and this one, and I'll show you how to do that right now. So as you can see, we have 3 layers, right? In order to get it down to 2, the focus that we need, you'll notice that these outside ones, if you click and drag them, even after dividing and ungrouping, are still sets of 3. We don't want those, so I'm just going to go around, click on those, and press delete. So now we have 2 sections right here. So you can see if I hover my mouse over each of these spots, you can tell that they're unique because we divided them. We kind of like an apple corer squished our divide Pathfinder right on top of that polar grid and made all these nice little sections. What we want to do next is separate these 2 so we can color them individually a little bit more easily. So I'm going to start by holding Shift. You can see down here I'm holding Shift. And then I'm going to click on each of the outside ring sections. And we're going to call these pieces the pineapple chunks. So it looks a little bit like a pineapple ring, right? So I'm holding Shift to scale that down. And there we have 2 pretty close sections. I'm going to scale this guy up by holding Shift. You can tell that it looks like they're grouped, but that's just because I'm drawing my selection with my selection tool, which is V on your keyboard. I'm drawing my selection tool over every piece. If I just clicked and grabbed one of these, it would only take a slice out. So the 2 parts that we're focusing on are pineapple chunks with the hole in the middle, so the pineapple, and then the pizza. This is our pizza right here because we have all these nice slices of pizza that we can work with. So I'm going to just Control Z a couple times to get those pieces back into position. And let's get cracking getting the colors correctly applied. So we don't need this Pathfinder tool anymore. We're going to select this whole thing with our selection tool, drag it over. I'm going to use the space bar to scoot around my artboard and then hold Alt to zoom in so we can really see what we're working with here. Let's get this. I wish this. Aha, perfect. I'll put it on my other monitor. Okay, cool. So here you can see we have, I'm not holding space anymore. It's just hanging out for a second. Next, we need to press V on our keyboard to just select each slice of pizza. And then see I have the bounding box around the single slice of pizza. And then I'm going to press I on my keyboard to get the eyedropper tool, which is right here under this crazy looking mesh guy. Eyedropper tool. It's just I on your keyboard. So then I'm going to start sampling, which is clicking on my reference document using the eyedropper to get all the colors for this pizza section. So I'm just going to go through that real quick. You'll notice the stroke will go away. That's totally fine. So the order, in order to get all the colors off of our color wheel and into our pizza, is always V, click, I, click. And just go through the order until you've got all 12 of these colors in your pizza section. So V, click, I, click, V, click, I, click, V, click, I, click. And then we'll just repeat that around the entire circle. And you only have to do this tedious part one time. V click, I click, V click, I click. Looks like the same color. We'll do that one. Yeah. Because once you have this pizza section nicely configured, you can just copy it over to the pineapple section. So we V click, get our bounding box on our slice of pizza, I click, and now we have this really nice pixel similar color wheel to our reference. So we can just either delete the reference, or I don't mind personally, because we have our nice vectorized one that we can use for any of our future design assignments. So I'm going to shrink this guy down just a smidge and then bring it over here and repeat the same process on the pineapple chunk. So I'll do that real quick. V click, I click, and then I'm just going to go around the circle. It's okay if you get a little bit confused. I know a lot of these analogous colors, the ones that are right next to each other, are a little hard to see. It's totally fine. It just takes some practice and some time, and then once you have these all configured, you won't have to do it again. Cool. So there we have 2 out of our 3 color wheels already configured. We have our pineapple section and we have our pizza section. And then I'm going to actually reflect my pizza section to create a little bit of contrast. So I'm drawing a selection with my selection tool, which is V on my keyboard. Drawing a selection over the whole pineapple. And then I'm going to hold shift and scale that guy up a little bit and just kind of tuck it over on the side here. And then I'm going to take my reflected pizza and get it in the center, something like this. You don't have to do this. This is optional, but this is kind of the way that I like to lay it out. You'll get graded the same however you do it. All I'm looking for is that you have both the pineapple section and the pizza section. So because these are now individual slices of pizza or chunks of pineapple, we want to group all these together to make them easy, and we can always ungroup later. So I'm going to hold shift, click on each of the slices of pizza. We'll repeat for the pineapple, and then we'll press Control G to group those items together. So same thing here. I'm holding Shift to select multiple pineapple chunks, just going all the way around the loop, and then I'm pressing Control G to group those guys together. So now when I move them, they'll move as one piece, and I don't have to draw a selection over the whole thing. Okay, so now I'm gonna pause the video here because that's the setup for these 2 color wheels, and then in the next video I'll show you how to make a blend of 2 complementary colors, and then we'll get we'll continue with 5.2. So thanks.